Hello and welcome to The World Today. Well, ours is to focus on topics that are affecting society today all around the world. And we want to create a platform where people can come and share their ideas and opinions so that we can shed light on what's going on, but also come up with solutions which will enhance peace, justice, and positive change. Our topic today is racial equality. It's a topic that we started on before, so we wanted to continue with this topic because it's so broad and there are so many ideas and opinions and suggestions, and we believe that we want to make a change and we can make a change in society. And all the viewers and all the people who were interviewed last time had a lot to say, and one thing that we agreed on is that there is no racial equality. That is in the world, and especially even here in Sweden where we're shooting this video from. There's a lot of inequality. Well, maybe you're watching today and you could be in whatever side of the spectrum. Maybe you're the superior race or you're the inferior race. Whatever you are, you have a part to play in all this. Well, when you look at me, you see that I'm black and I'm from the inferior race according to what we see in the world today. And I've grown up in Kenya, and in Kenya, we're all mostly black. We're African blacks. And I haven't felt any racial inequality because we're all from the same race. So I've grown up just feeling confident in my skin, confident in who I am, and it's never been a problem. But then when I come to a place where I'm an ethnic minority, the tables turn and you just suddenly see that you're different, and you begin to see that people look at you in a different light, and sometimes it's like you're this mysterious person who they're still trying to figure out who you are. And I still haven't faced this inequality, or maybe I haven't been aware of it, mostly because I also have a faith where I just believe that whatever I need will always come to me. So I've not been struggling in that aspect. But it doesn't matter what I have experienced or haven't experienced. The fact is, there is a lot of inequality and there is a lot of injustice, and this suppresses people's ability to be who they're supposed to be. I can pose a question to you, whatever race you are. If you had, let's say, 3 different people, a black African, an Indian, or a white Swede, and they had the same qualifications, and you were in a position where you were to employ them, who would you employ? What would you base your employment on? I would like to believe that you would look at it in a professional way, but that's not the case in the world today. Many times it's about your skin color, it's about your name, it's about your culture, it's about what country you come from. And that is what we're talking about. Does everyone get the same equality, the same opportunity, an equal opportunity to be who they're supposed to be without having to explain who they are, but just showing their qualifications, but just showing their giftings? That is what we want to continue to talk about today. So today we have the same guest speaker that we had last time. So we have David Samuyiwa, a man who has been successful in the business world, but all his life he's been an ethnic minority. That is why it's interesting to pick his mind and see what he has experienced and how he has been able to overcome. And the idea is to come with different solutions which we can apply in society today. We can apply all these solutions and see which works, which doesn't work, because we want to advance society. We say we're in a civilized society, but civilization has everything to do with equality and how we're growing as people, whether we look at each other as one race, as one people. That's what it is about today. So welcome to The World Today. And my name is Kiombero Murigo, K. Murigo. The World Today with K. Welcome. Welcome back, viewers, to The World Today. Today's topic, as we said earlier, is racial equality. We're continuing from last time because it's such a broad topic with so many ideas, and we came up with some solutions last time, which was really about education in the school curriculum, personally with yourself finding out things about the different races, and also it's about what you teach your children at home. Well, in the studio today we have again David Samuyiwa. So welcome, David.
Thank you.
Yeah. So last time we talked about some solutions that you had, and it was really about education.
Yes.
And it just looked like you had so much more boiling in there. And that's why we invited you again, just so that you can continue just saying what's in your mind, you know. Yeah.
Sure.
So are there any other solutions that you've been thinking about, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. To try to rectify maybe 400, 500 years of racial inequality in a space of a few years, it doesn't really work. You've got to dig a bit deeper to the root source. But yeah, there are other solutions.
Yeah.
Education being, for me, the main key, and education in what in particular. So I think it comes down to two things: heroes and ownership.
Ownership.
Heroes and ownership.
Can you expound on that?
Okay. Let's take, for example, Superman is white. Batman is white. Iron Man is white. The Fantastic Four are white. Santa Claus is white. Captain America is white. Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, is white.
I see where you're going with this, yeah.
So all of the heroes that we have been fed over the last 50, 60 years, all the superheroes, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, yes, are all white. From the TV, from Hollywood, James Bond is white.
Yeah.
Okay. Sherlock Holmes is white. All right. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are white. So all the heroes, all the things we've been fed with, Santa Claus is white.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at this bombardment of superheroes that are male and female, who are all white, that gives you the feeling that white is better. Like we said last time, Jesus Christ is white, meaning God is white. The angels are white. Okay. So what heroes do we have as black people? What heroes are we brought up on? So unless you educate yourself and dig into the history of your race, you won't find any heroes. You're going to be fed with the heroes that the media, society feeds you with. All the mainstream stars today that are portrayed on Hollywood, on the TV, most of them, if not 90% of them, are all white. Okay. So therefore, that's show. I think there was a program. Someone sent me something a few weeks ago about a lady that was talking about the beauty industry, all in providing cosmetics and everything being white. So of course, Barbie is white.
Yeah.
You know, what's his name? The guy that who she Ken, or whatever, he's white. You know, the Action Man doll we had when we were kids, those boys were white. The Barbie dolls were white. Tinkerbell is white. Yeah. So you have all this bombardment from from very young age all the way through. So we're fed this. So unless you try to identify with, okay, well, who are my heroes that look like me? Then you will see the difference in the balance of superiority and inferiority. Okay, which means you can't bridge the gap to get racial equality. When you see one race is so much more in the limelight and spotlight than the other race. We see us, like I said before on the last program, cleaning, driving a taxi, and that's not anyone's hero.
No.
Really. Okay. So, what about our heroes over the last 100 years? We've had hundreds of them. But we're not taught about them. We're not educated about them. So let's just take the last 100 years. Do we know about Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali, John Carlos, Tommy Smith, Maya Angelou, Rosa Parks, Rosemary Chesumard, Fred Hampton, Thomas Sankara, Nelson Mandela, Steve Biko, Walter Sisulu, Goran Mbeki. Who else do you have? You have Harry Belafonte, James Brown, Prince, Michael Jackson. All these guys that were there standing for something, Are we taught about them? Sam Cooke, there's so many. Angela Davis. There really is, so I could go on and on just by recalling all these names, but I had to go and look up and see, okay, well, who can I resonate with? You know, and I told you about the scientists the last time and the inventors like Garrett Morgan, Granville T. Woods, Charles Drew, Ben Carson, Lewis Latimer, Benjamin Banneker. You have so many that we know nothing about unless you go and educate yourself to find out, okay, who can I identify with? If I'm a sports person, who can look at sports? If I'm a business person, who can I look at? If I'm a religious person, who can I look at? If I'm a politician, who can I look at? You see my point?
Yeah.
So if we're not identifying with our heroes, we're going to be fed with the heroes that they give us, that are given us by society and by the media. And that's what we now put on pedestals. Okay, we want to be like that. I wanted to be like Superman. I wanted to have X-ray vision and go out there and be, save the world. I wanted to be like Superman. But that was the iconic figure that we saw when we were growing up, basically. So until I started to, hold on a minute, what's all this I'm getting? Santa Claus, we talk about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Santa Claus, Father Christmas comes from, or Santa Claus comes from St. Nicholas. He went around Christmas time and gave presents out to the neighborhood. He's a black man, but you won't know that unless you research it. You see my point?
Yeah.
So unless you research where does it all come from and how it all come out now, all of these people are all white. We're going to be lost. We'll be a lost race with no identity, no culture, having no impact on society, because we will always look to, okay, they're better than us.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been fed.
Us, yeah.
Right. They can teach us. We know nothing. We just came about. Yeah. So as much as I saw the last Tarzan film, which was great.
Yeah.
I think it was a Swedish guy playing him. It was the modern one just came out just earlier on this year. I mean, fantastic looking guy. His physique amazing. Probably 2 meters tall. I'm like, wow, this is a fine specimen of a man. And you want to be like that guy. I want to be like Tarzan, taking on all the gorillas and fighting in the jungle. I said, yeah, man, I want to be like that, because that is what appeals to you. You want to be a hero.
Yeah.
So you look to that heroic figure. So that's what I'm saying. We're our heroes. Until we as black people identify with, okay, who are our heroes? What have our people done? So that we can educate others. But like I said, it should be in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Yes? So the same way they talk about Gandhi, they talk about Desmond Tutu. The same way they talk about JFK, they talk about Nelson Mandela, or Martin Luther King Jr., or Malcolm X. Yeah? The same way they talk about, for example, what can be the feminist movement. We talk about the Black Panthers movement. So there's a comparison. There's white and black, who both made history, who both made a contribution, significant contribution to how we live today. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So unless we get together and understand each other's culture, each other's race, each other's religion, each other's, where we came from, background, we're not going to move forward. There's always going to be this divide because we are not taught that, basically.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say, is that we first have to do our own research into our own history. So when you have something like, what's it called now? Have it in America now. Black History Month.
Yeah.
That is a disgrace. That is a total disgrace. You're regulating the history of my people to 1 month. Black History Month is world history. It shouldn't be any color behind it. Do you have White History Month?
Exactly.
Do you have Jewish History Month? Do you have Mixed Race History Month? Chinese History Month? You don't have that. Why are you trying to regulate the history of a people that were the original people to 1 month? It is a complete disgrace. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's disgraceful. It should be. This is world history. This is world history. Go back to the beginning of the first civilization, which was ancient Egypt, according to the scholars and so forth. Ancient Egypt was the first civilization. Did that tell us about the dynasty of pharaohs that were black? You never hear about it.
No.
Every portrayal of Egyptian heritage is white, seen on the TV. The last film, Exodus, 3 pharaohs were white, the father, the son, and then the pharaoh's son, and Moses was white.
Yeah.
Oh, what were the black people doing? We were slaves again. So everything is reducing us to the lowest bottom of the pile. They don't teach us that there was a whole dynasty that in ancient Egypt ruled the world. There's a whole dynasty of black pharaohs that ruled the then known world. We don't know about that. How come? Why do we know about Alexander the Great, but we don't know about Shaka Zulu and Haile Selassie? How come we don't know about these political leaders that were great warriors at the same time? Emperor Haile Selassie, should I say. Why do we know about that? We know about Julius Caesar.
We know a lot about that. Yeah.
So we were fed this, but we're not fed anything on the other side, okay, that also made history complete, basically. And then we see this, I mean, yes, take for example, Alexander the Great, probably goes down in history as one of the greatest generals, greater warrior generals of all time, conquered the then known world at the age of 33. But do they tell you about the story about when he went into Ethiopia and he wanted to take over Ethiopia after coming through Egypt, and then he met Queen Eunice, who had a band of female warriors. So when he came out to fight, and she came with her army of female warriors, he came riding on horses. They came riding on the backs of elephants. When he saw this, history says nothing took place. So two things happened. He either ran away or he made peace. Do they tell us that story? No, they tell us how he went through Persia. He took over the whole of Babylon. He went into India. But don't tell you when you came to the borders of Black Africa, you met this resistance and you didn't stand and fight. We don't hear these stories.
No.
So this is the kind of thing, and this is a hero. This is a heroic figure of a female queen with a female band of warriors who rode on elephants to war. You don't hear nothing about that. Nothing. It's erased out of history books. You've got to dig and dig and dig and dig to find out about these things. Look at our modern day heroes. You've got people like David Banner, Dr. Umar Johnson, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Brother Polite. You've got so many who are trying to give information out to us. For us to say, guys, stop blinding your eyes to what's going on. Be aware of what's going on. Read your own history, as well as the European history, as well as North American history, as well as Chinese history. Read your history also, so you know how significant our impact was on the world. We don't do that. So we need to take charge ourselves to do that, because we're not getting it right now. So until we get it, we're going to make steps to get it.
It's so interesting to hear you talk, because you have such a vast knowledge about history. Because, I mean, your story is maybe different from other people's stories or similar to others, because I was sharing before how for me, growing up in Africa, everyone looked like me, so I don't have any thoughts of being lower or, you know, not, you know, fighting for equality. It's never been the case. So, I mean, but the world today is really melting together and we're becoming one. And as much as maybe someone in Africa might not think it's important, this is where we are, and it's important that we really talk about it. So when I'm thinking about all this and considering the video we watched before about Sandy talking about wealth, do you think it boils down to wealth? Is that the main thing? Is that the main struggle for wealth, and that's why this inequality is? No.
No, I mean, of course, the wealth issue is a factor. I mean, of course, if you're coming from a situation where you can't get a good job because of the colour of your skin or your surname is different, especially in a place like Sweden, so where you're very much in the minority. So I think black people have been in Sweden, let's say, the last 50 years. We have not made any significant impact into society. So, of course, you're seen as a minority at the bottom of the pile. So when you go for a job, it's going to be harder for you, with your surname, your name and your surname being different, your genetic makeup, you know, the colour of your skin being different, your culture being different. So, of course, you're going to struggle for wealth because you won't get a good job, probably. So you'll be having a substandard living. You're probably coming from an area where it's not the best area in town or, you know, in the city in general. You're going to a school that maybe not the best teachers, not the best place. So that is now how you're raising up, you're scaling that when you go out into society with those credentials against Stefan Eriksson, Johan Lundgren, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, but for you who's been employing people, if you get people with different names, what do you really look at when you're employing people?
I look at the CV.
You look at the CV?
The credentials of
You're
that person.
not biased by the fact that people are from different...
No. I embrace that. I mean, that's the culture I grew up in. Obviously, I grew up in London, so I grew up with that wide complex of cultures and religions and everything, so languages. And I've traveled around the world, so that's never been an issue. I look at the credentials. Are you good enough for the job? Whether you're black, white, blue or pink, it doesn't matter.
So this injustice has not made you feel like you always have to give it to the black
Never,
people?
no. It's good to the person most justified for the job. I would then be a racist. Yeah, I would be favouring my own race against another race, which is obviously me just being opposite of what I want to see. I want to see integrate. Well, we are integrated, but I want to see that equality be in effect.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what I said before. If it was the fact that white people were in the position that black people are in today, I'll be sitting there as a black man defending white people. Just so happens I'm black and it's my race that's at the bottom of the pile. So I got to say something against it, basically, or about it, to make people aware this is not right. This is not equality. This is not equality, and we can't continue to be discriminated against because of that. Look at the person's credentials. Are they good enough? Yes. Would they fit into your environment? Well, you have to make that adjustment. We can't keep crossing over to fit in with you, with your way.
Yeah.
You have to embrace us.
It's part of leadership as well.
Part of leadership as well, yeah.
All right.
So that's the key. That's one of the keys.
So it has nothing to do with wealth predominantly?
It has something to do with wealth because, like I said, you start from the bottom, then you've got to fight your way to the top. We're already at a handicap. So you have to remember that, okay, sometimes like in America especially, they talk about reparations. Yes, because of all the years of slavery and stuff like that. Forget about that. Yes, they should have it. Everyone else got it.
Yeah.
The Jews got it after the Second World War, basically. The what do you call it? The Japanese got it after the Second World War, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The native Indians got it. So why have not black people got it? Why not? The question must be asked. Why not? They deserve to have it. They built America. What was America built? It was built on slavery. All the cotton that these guys are picking and sending back to Europe, it was built on slavery. Before the Chinese came, before the Italian Americans came, before the Irish Americans came, the black people were there building it. After you nearly wiped out the Native Americans, you had slaves, and they built that country. So why is it that they're not having reparations for 400 years of unpaid labor that built the country? Doesn't make any sense. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
So they haven't got it. So of course, you're starting from the bottom of the pile with nothing, and now you've got to try to work your way up. The same thing here we find in Sweden or in Europe. We're starting from the bottom of the pile. It's not my native country. My parents came over in the 60s. I'm born in the 70s. We have no roots in UK, or if you're born in Sweden, no roots in Sweden. You're probably the first or second generation. You can't go back 200 years and say, okay, yeah, I was living here. You have no substance here. No, you're starting from zero. So of course you're at the bottom of the pie. Now you've got to fight your way to get up. And every time you try and fight your way to get up, there's a hand that says, get back down. You're not here. You're not deserved to be here. This is reserved for these people. And you're not part of these people. So of course you're starting from the bottom. So of course the wealth issue comes into place. However, we have to look at ourselves also. We're not getting anything. We're not getting it, or we're getting very little. So don't hang around waiting for a handout. Don't. It ain't gonna come. I mean, you see for yourself it's not coming. Don't hang around waiting for it.
And if the handout is there, it's still to manipulate and suppress and control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So don't.
So
I think one of the things that Martin Luther King Jr. said. He said one of the worst things he did was towards the end of it, maybe about 6 months before he got assassinated. He said what he thinks he did was put black people into a worse position by fighting for integration. Because by integrating, it means that he had to compromise so heavily on what he felt they should have, by trying to force through the racial integration, to try to stop this racial segregation, be integrated, but they lost the flow, they lost the power by doing that. Because at that time, there were black businesses, there were black leagues, football leagues, there were black baseball leagues, but by integrating you lose all that. Now you come in with the white supremacy, so to speak, and then they obviously have the ascendancy. So now they control what you have, whereas before they couldn't control it because it was black businesses. There was a black Wall Street. But when you integrate, you lose all that.
Yeah.
So he said he felt that's one of the worst things he did. Right at the end, he realized that I should have done it a different way.
It's such a shame that it has to come to that. Like, his idea, of course, was he imagined that then we would work together. There would be no white or black. We would just be people. But does it always have to be that? So right now, as we speak here, and we're trying to talk about equality, maybe, you know, it's such a battle to fight that it might never be achieved, like Sandy was trying to bring about?
It can be achieved, but it has to be achieved with a lot of compromise from white supremacy.
Because you're saying they're the ones who have something to lose.
They're the ones who have something to lose, yes. That's why it's always the situation to press us down. Always a situation. Why do you want to press down people? Why? So you can be above. Okay, so why? Think about it now. If you're trying to do, like, for example, you have this guy now, just recently, another hero, in my opinion, Colin Kaepernick. Have you heard anything about him recently? He refused to, just recently now, to stand up for the national anthem. He's an American football player.
Okay.
Quite well-known one.
Yeah.
Because the American national anthem, he said, why am I going to stand up for an anthem that, one, is racist, two, black people are being killed, unarmed black people being killed in America. No one's doing anything about it. It's happening on a weekly basis. 2 or 3 happened last week.
Yeah.
Kids, unarmed, adults unarmed, male and female, being shot down in the streets by white policemen. Now, if it was a black guy shooting down a white guy, a black cop shooting down a white civilian, unarmed, that guy will be finished.
Oh, yeah.
So it's happened so many times now. This guy said, no, I'd take away my, what do you call it, my salary, whatever you want to do it. I'm not going to stand for the national anthem, which was seen as being unpatriotic.
Yeah.
So then they said, let's analyze the national anthem. Who wrote it? Written by a guy called Francis Scott Key in 1812, who had slaves. Who, that's one thing, he had slaves. 2, 1812 was written. The national anthem talks about the land of the free, home of the brave. Black people weren't free in 1812.
Right.
1865, Abraham Lincoln emancipated some slaves. 1865, nearly 50 years later. So when the national anthem was written, the Star Spangled Banner, black people were not free. It did not include black people. Okay. Thirdly, the third verse, which is no longer sang, talks about no hirelings or slaves can escape the cradle of the grave. So this is not in any way something that black people should feel is part of their heritage. It wasn't written for them. They weren't free. Definitely wasn't the land of the free for the blacks. So he's making a stand against it now. He's not the first person. Other people have refused to stand, but now it's public because of social media and so forth. Just spreads like, like a virus spreads. So people are saying how it's unpatriotic towards the flag and the Americans that died in the war, stuff like this. He's saying that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the racial inequality in the US nearly 150 years later, after Abraham Lincoln made the Emancipation Proclamation and said all slaves are free. So 150 years later, they're still fighting the same struggle. 50 years after the Civil Rights Movement, they're still fighting the same struggle. Black people are still being killed, unarmed. What's happening? He's making a stand against it, and people are calling him unpatriotic. White and black. Black people are coming out saying, this guy, he's ridiculous, he's a disgrace. How can you say that when you actually, one, research what the national anthem stood for, who wrote it, and what the guy is talking about today? He's talking about the racial inequality. So we're standing up for a flag or for an anthem that doesn't affect my people, doesn't help assist my race. And people are coming out and condemning the guy. I mean, everyone's been saying that, yes, we need to do something about it. But they're not. Half are with him, half are against him. But some of the black people that have come out against him, I just think it's just crazy. And some of the white, I mean, regardless of race, it's wrong. White or black, it's wrong.
He's standing up for something.
He's standing up for something, basically. And it's like, he's not the first one to do it. I mean, Muhammad Ali did it, refused to go to the Vietnam War. Remember this one with Tommy Smith and John Carlos? They were banned from ever running again. Muhammad Ali, they took away his world heavyweight title, banned him for 3 years. How can the Americans take away someone's world heavyweight title? America takes away someone's world heavyweight. That doesn't make sense. 50 years later, they're still fighting the same struggle. So this guy's a hero. He's standing up for something that needs to be addressed because people are being shot down, innocent people being shot down in the streets by policemen who are there to protect them. So we have all this going on right now. In fact, this guy, I think, will be on the front cover of Time magazine next issue because he's made so much impact with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when Sandy talks about wealth, I mean, the wealth situation, yes, it's an issue.
But in the sense that then it's like the white supremacy is just trying to make sure that the wealth stays with them.
Yes.
Because they're afraid if someone else gets it.
But whose fault is that?
Whose fault is that?
That's the question. Whose fault is that? The fault is our fault, black people's fault.
But well, if you blame the black people, the fact is the first time that they went to America, they went as slaves.
They went as slaves, yes. Yeah.
So it's been such a hard road to get to the next phase.
Okay.
So in retrospect, they've not had the power all along.
Not had the power all along, but now we have the influence. Let me explain what I mean. Okay. These jeans, Hugo Boss. Black people own Hugo Boss?
I don't think so.
No. This T-shirt, Zegna. Do we own that? No.
Don't know who that is.
Yeah, Italian girl. This watch, Polar. Do black people own Polar? No. My shoes I buy from a guy in town here who owns a shoe shop, white guy, nice guy, white guy. I buy shoes from him. His shoes, yes.
Nice shoes.
Is anything you're wearing owned by black people?
No.
So we're working hard. We're taking our money. Remember I told you heroes and ownership. We're taking our money and put it back into the very hands of the people who are suppressing us in some way, shape or form. Not these people, I'm not saying Hugo Boss or these people, but we're putting it back into the hands of white-owned companies. Where are our clothing companies, our clothing brands? Where are they? Are you driving a Nissan car? Where are our cars that are owned by black people, manufactured by black people? We don't see that. Where are our restaurants in town? Do you see how many black-owned restaurants do you see in town, in Gothenburg? How many? Do you see any African restaurants or do you see them?
Maybe just one.
Just one? One. Maybe one.
Yeah.
And does he own it? Or does someone else?
Actually, yeah, because he owns it with a Swede. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So we're working hard as black people. Apparently in America they spend $1 trillion. Black people spend $1 trillion.
On clothes, must be.
On clothes, makeup, cars, jewelry, owned by, obviously, you put money back into the hands of people that are suppressing it. Because we own nothing. We have no ownership. So no ownership means to say that we're always going to go with our cap in hand because we're spending our money, hard-earned money, whether we have it or not, take it on loan, credit card, what have you, spending it on stuff that we don't own. We're not putting the money back into our community. Not putting money back into our, how do you say, area of influence. We control nothing. We own nothing. So we control nothing. So we can't have a strong enough voice. We're always going to be at the bottom of the pile. That's why you see, for example, do not Jews work together? The Jewish community?
Yeah, they work together.
Why do you think they do so? You got to understand why. The Italians, the Chinese, the Asians.
Yeah.
So why they're not at the bottom of the pile? I mean, unless we start to learn the lessons from other races, we will stay at the bottom of the pile. And it's our fault because we have enough intelligent black people around today to understand what's going on and make changes. But when I go to my friends who are businessmen, guys, let's get together, black people. Well, David, they're more suspicious of me than the people that...
Why is that?
That's because we have not fixed our mindset from days of slavery.
So we still have a slavery
mentality. We can't. How can you have wealth when you have that mindset? You have the slave mentality, not a wealth mentality. So you work hard, but then what happens? I'll give you another example. I went to a guy 6-9 months ago, I think it was, who is editor of a black news magazine. I won't mention the name. I said to him, I have opportunity to provide around 30 to 40 jobs because for black people who want jobs. He says to me, I'll check it out and come back to you if it's interesting.
That doesn't even make sense.
I said, what? I said, no, but you don't understand. It doesn't cost you anything. I just had the opportunity to come linked up with certain people
just advertise it.
That want to employ, not just black people, but I said I want to help up my people.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's a black magazine. So if he puts it there,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the idea is for black people to enter into the Scandinavian community. That's the idea of this magazine. He said, no, I'll come back to you if it's interesting. I talked to my partner and we'll come back to you if it's interesting. I said, okay, fine. I waited 1 month. I went back to him again and said, we haven't really had a chance to really investigate what he said. I said, but how long do you think the guys are going to wait? They want people to come and work for them. If they're going to wait for you to make up your mind, there's opportunity here. He said, yeah, I'll come back to you. Never came back to me. black guy owning a black magazine. Didn't come back to me. Now, I
Okay.
guarantee you, if it was a white guy, he went to him and said, we want to employ 30 to 40 blacks. He'll put it front page, headline it, advertise. Look what white people are doing for us. But a black guy wants to do it. It's like, no, he might outshadow me, he might outshine me because he has something to offer more than what I can. No, let me keep him, even though it's going to benefit me, let me keep him in place or down so he can't showcase what he can do. Not what I can do. It's not me, it's employing them. I just know people that want to employ them. But so that project dead.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's our mindset. That's the mindset of black people.
Wow.
Whenever I try to do anything with black people, it's like, or for example, I have a school. Black people, they want to come and work, my friends who are black, want to come and take the courses that I offer. David, can we get it for free? Because, you know, we're bros. I said, free, but... So you want me to give it to you for free? Why? Why? So you don't want to support my business. You want to give it to you for free. Now go to the white guy and tell him, who has the same line of business I have, and ask him to give it to you for free. Well, we're bros. We should support each other. I said, yeah, but you're not supporting me.
Yeah.
How are you supporting me? I can give you a discount, but I can't give it to you for free. But that's our mindset. Then they go away, look at him, he thinks he's a big businessman now because, and they go away with a bad attitude. I didn't give it to them for free.
Wow, this
is the
real
mindset that we have. The mindset that we have. Unless we change that mindset, start to support each other, we can't get anywhere. We can't get anywhere. And this is the problem with us, is that we don't see that unless we work together, like the Jewish community, like the Italians, like the Irish, like the Chinese, like the Asians, how are we going to grow? You're going to go to the Chinese restaurant to buy your food. You're going to go to the Italian to buy your food. I'm going to go to the Italians or the Germans to buy my clothes. Because we don't own anything. I don't know how to make clothes. So I must go to the designers that I know can make clothes and buy from them.
Yeah.
I don't know any African restaurant where I can eat my home culture food. So when I get hungry and I feel like a takeaway, I got to go to the Chinese or the Japanese or the Italian or to the meatballs, Swedish stuff, and eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I can't find my own cuisine here. If I need legal advice, I must go to a white lawyer who owns a white law firm and give his advice. Where's you lawyers own a law firm? Where not? The accountants, I've got to go to a white accountant who owns an accountancy firm. Can you help me with my bookkeeping? We don't have that. So I'm making money and giving money back to the same people, not these people in particular, but to the same race that keeps my people down because we don't have that influence. We haven't grown out that slavery mentality. To just be fed. That's what slavery is. You be fed, be fed, be fed, be fed, be fed. Yeah. So it's like,
wow, that's amazing.
So when the question comes about wealth, right, go and get it. Everyone else is getting it. Every other race has used their brains to get wealth for their community. Why not us? So that's it. We can't blame anybody all the time. And we must see now that we have been empowered with equal opportunities, whether we get it officially or not, or technically or not, it officially is there. If we don't get it, well,
we have to grab it.
You've got to get what you can and work together. And work together. That's how you make change. You don't do just one person trying to run around everything by himself. You get killed that way. You've got to do it with a team of people. That's why whenever a black person who is strong enough, and I'm not one of these, tries to raise up and do something, he's taken out. Or she's taken out. You're either discredited, you're either shot down, you're either put in prison for something or other. Look, all those lead people I mentioned, all those heroes I mentioned to you before. When Michael Jackson was talking about, what do you say? He made a song called, and one of the lines was, they don't really care about us. What is the us do you think he's talking about? Who is the us that he thinks he's mentioning in this song? When he's saying, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, when he's saying these songs, he's giving a message. Not just the dancing, it looks really cool. He's giving a message in these songs. They don't really care about us. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Who is the us do you think that he's talking about in that music? We don't understand when Prince writes slave across his face. Why do you think he's doing that? Because it looks good? He's saying something. But you've got to tap into what he's saying to understand, hold a minute, guys, listen, he's a slave. He's one of the biggest artists in the world, but he still sees himself as a slave. Why? He doesn't own his stuff. He doesn't own his stuff. Unless we take ownership and see that from that, get the respect of the white community, the white race. To see these guys, they're going to be productive. They're not violent. Of course, there's a small percentage like any other race, but these are hard-working, productive people that will help our country grow. That's all I'm talking about. Just for them to see that we have something to offer. And for us as black people to recognize that we have something to offer. So we don't go around being spoon-fed all the time. So it's like, you know, when I'm talking about ownership, clothes, items, cars, cosmetics, consumer goods, you know, if I don't wear underwear, if I wore underwear, I would show you what my underwear also comes from Calvin Klein or someone like that. Do you want to see me without underwear?
Well, we'll be back. So
see, that's the great thing about black people.
We have to cut it for now,
that's the
and
great
we'll
thing
be
about
back.
Black people.
All right?
That's the great thing about black people.
We'll be back.
We don't blush.
We'll be back.
We don't blush. See?
So thank you for viewing this. We'll just continue in a few minutes. Let's just listen to the videos of different people with the different solutions that they have in mind.
Talking about racial inequality is hard. I struggle with this topic because it is so big, but I feel like I can only tell it from my own personal opinion, from my life. I'm 19 years old. I'm born and raised in Gothenburg. And during these past 2 or 3 years, I think that's when I've really come to focus on how my life actually has been as a black girl in Sweden. And I don't want it to sound like I bash Sweden. I don't. I love this country. I am born here. This is my second home. My parents are from Tanzania, but I'm born and raised here. So, as I said, it's my second home. But I have been through a lot of things. And I feel like the older I get, the more aware of this I am. More aware that I have been treated in a certain way or been in certain situations just because I am a black girl in a Caucasian country. Some examples of this is my hair. It is so hard for me to explain this for someone who doesn't understand, but I can try. I am so used to, now I can come out and say that this is not my natural hair. I have done something called crotchet braids. You can look it up. But even when I wear it straight, I still get questions. Questions like, is that your real hair? Can I touch it? I mean, it's so in a way degrading. And it's even worse when I wear my natural hair because then people just touch it without asking. This is people I sometimes don't even know. It can be someone on the tram when I'm on my way home, or a stranger walking down the streets, and I just keep on thinking that this wouldn't happen to me if I was white. I mean, no one would just come out of nowhere and touch my hair, because that's rude. It's extremely rude and it's very odd, but yet it happens to me. And I mean, hair can sound so trivial. It's like, well, who cares? It's hair. But to me, it's a proof of the racial inequality there is in this society. I mean, why can't I just be myself with my hair, with the way I look, with my skin, without being questioned, without being looked at, without feeling like a stranger in my own country? Even if I meet a new person, for an example, and they ask me, where do you come from? I can't get away with saying that I am Swedish. And I have actually stopped saying this because I think it's hard. When I say it, I always get questioned like, oh, are you adopted? How come you're black if you're Swedish? Like stuff like that. And that has actually happened. And it makes me feel like such a stranger. It makes me feel like an animal. I always have to be questioned. And why because I am black. Because I don't look typically Swedish or whatever. I don't even think it's typically Swedish, because I believe that if you feel that you belong to a country, you should be able to belong to that country without being questioned. And I am a black girl, so I have often been stereotyped, like, several times. I've gotten comments like, "Oh, can you twerk for us? Oh my god, but you don't have a big booty," and stuff like that. And it's extremely, once again, degrading, because it makes me into a stereotype. And I have actually grown up and feared certain things I like to do or like to say, or when I behave, I always have to double check myself. Oh my god, am I being a stereotype now? I don't want them to believe that I'm being this way because of my race. I want them to see me for who I am. And I think that is such a clear proof of racial inequality. And I have a lot of friends and people I know who have been through the same things, who are afraid of being a stereotype. And that is wrong. I mean, you should be able to be who you are without fearing that you will be judged by your race. That is a lot of what I have been through my life, and it's very difficult. To me, racial equality is, for an example, me walking down the streets with my natural hair and no one stares, no one asks questions. In Sweden now, no one asks questions, no one stares, no one touches it, no one points, no one comments it. Like, me just being myself, walking down the street, being happy, not having to panic about anybody touching my hair or whatever. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to not get over the fact that we're in 2016 and it's extremely rude to do certain things, to stereotype a person, to deprive of their comfort zone just because you're curious. But I think it's something that should be done right now.
We, as a race, I mean, as a whole, we divide each other up into groups and sections and stuff. And I think, language also has a big part of racial equality as well. In the UK, where I'm from, we have a lot of problems to do with foreigners that are coming in the country, especially from Syria and other countries. And right now in the UK, especially in London, there's been a lot of racial attacks on people because of where they come from, because they're quote-unquote foreigners. And people have a distrust and a distaste for foreigners. Also, with the UK coming out of the EU, which is happening in a couple of years, is all to do with kind of like people being afraid of, equality amongst human beings. I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day, but, there is racial equality. There is no racial equality, sorry. Being a black man and living in Sweden, it's even harder. It's even tougher. Trying to integrate into the system and, really try and be at one with the people of Sweden and in Gothenburg. I find it harder being a black man, and it's distasteful, because you really wish that there was racial equality amongst our fellow people, but there isn't any. Can we do anything to change it? It's tough because people already have their minds made up. You see how human beings act when they become nervous against different races. I think a good look at that is if you look at America, what's happening right now amongst black people. ethnic minorities, darker colored skinned people. The police have a distrust for black people as a whole. And in doing that, the police in America, they're shooting and killing black people like dogs, like animals. And that's all to do with a misunderstanding and being fearful. It's kind of like shoot questions, shoot first and then ask questions later. So it's something that definitely needs to change, and I think if we have more understanding as a human race, it will get better. Personally, I've had many instances where I felt like, I haven't had the same type of treatment as someone else who's from a particular country where I've been in. And I felt like, it was something to do with the race card, and I hate to use it because I'm black, but it does happen, It happens a lot in Sweden, but in Sweden it's a little bit more tastefully done, They kind of group us all together as foreigners, and they leave us all in, certain areas in Sweden, such as Hisingen, Bikon, Angered. They try to group us all into the same kind of suburb areas, where everybody's there together. It's very hard to get a place in a nice area such as Gulheden or Vasastan or Vårland. It's very difficult to get places there. Not only is it to do with the waiting time, but it's also to do with your second name. It's something that needs to change, definitely. I don't have the answers for it, but I'm hoping as a race, as a people, that includes black people, we work together and try to understand our weaknesses and how we can work together. Because right now there is a lot of problems around the world because people are not understanding each other. Racial equality hasn't just happened in my lifetime, it's happened before me, before I was even born, and it's still happening. It's just that now, there is, all these social networks, Facebook Live, Snapchat, Instagram. There's all these different type of outlets that you can kind of film it and capture it. So you're more able to see what's going on. Before, when something happened in Afghanistan, you didn't know anything about it, but now it's captured now and quickly sent over, the wireless network, and, you can watch something live, what's happening in a faraway land. So I guess that things that were once happening in a faraway land didn't have an effect in the country you necessarily were. For example, when I was living in London, whatever happened in Afghanistan again, or any other country in the world, it didn't have a direct effect on London. But now it does. Something that happens far away in another country can have a direct effect on the country, whatever country you're living in. I don't think there is any racial equality. I think it needs to be better. And I mean that on all levels. Being a black man, I mean that because I've seen that and felt it firsthand. How it is, how I've been treated. I could have been treated much better. I think it's about understanding. I think it's about communicating and learning of each other. And I think as a world, we need to have a better understanding of each other's culture and understanding. And I guess first of all that starts with language, being able to understand each other and being able to understand cultures and traditions. I believe it will get better, but we need more time.
Welcome back, and we've been having a really heated discussion here with David Somuyiwa. And we've talked about the different things, ownership you've talked about, and heroes, you've talked about education.
Yes.
So you've given us really good solutions that we can work on as a society. And now as we're coming to the end of the program, is there something more that you would like to add on to this discussion?
No, basically, I just think that, when I look at the stand that someone like just recently Colin Kaepernick has taken, we need more like that to bring awareness. This is not a violent thing. It's not an aggressive thing. He's just kneeling down, bro. That's just sitting. He's kneeling down for the national anthem, showing respect for the national anthem, but at the same time making a protest by not standing with his hand on his chest to say, guys, this can't go on, So if we have more people doing stuff like that, more young people. I mean, he's in his mid-20s. More young people who have that consciousness and that courage. This guy will lose millions of dollars, millions for what he's doing, sponsorship and so forth. But that courage to stand and say, it's not right, our society is not right. We need more people like that, basically. This young generation that's growing up on social media, this young generation that's growing up in this climate, they need to see what's going on, white and black. It's not a black issue, it's a world issue. So it should be addressed by all races. Unless you are a racist, you should be addressing the racial inequality at school, at home, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your political party, in your church, in your workplace. Wherever you see it existing, you just want to get it out. It's evil.
It is.
It just separates the world from working together for the best of the world.
Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about how the black people need to help each other, that's another discussion that would be interesting to go into.
Sure.
Because, if we're talking about equality, then it starts from ourselves as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
So thank you for shedding light on that as well.
No
Just
problem.
to know that we have the responsibility
No
as well.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for viewing. If you still have more ideas and more suggestions on solutions to this topic of racial equality, you're welcome to Twitter us, Facebook us, and let's just get together and get this world to be a better place. Peace, justice, and positive change. And we'll continue with this topic, and I'll invite more guests to just come and share their views and opinions. And maybe you want to be one of the guests because you have so many ideas. Just get back to us and let us know. So thank you for viewing. Have a good time. Bye-bye.